Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 3 of Total Drama Pawtucket. I keep wanting to call it Pawtucket, but that's Rhode Island, not British Columbia. But anyway, Total Drama. This episode was called Twinning Isn't Everything. And now that the ball has officially gotten rolling, now we can really sort of see our characters really start to bounce off each other and get some traction there. So let's just kind of get right into things. First of all, wow, they are really going whole hog on the shipping this season. And, shipping isn't really my thing. It's just never been something that's been very super appealing to me. Not that I don't like certain couples, but it doesn't really bring the squee for me, as it were. But I, so far, am cautiously optimistic about what's going on here, at least in terms of the relationships of the romantic variety. I still think that what we had in Season 1 in terms of that, especially with what happened with Trent and Gwen, was really some of the best in terms of how romance was handled on the show. Not endorsing anything here because, again, that's not my thing. I'm just saying the way that particular relationship was presented and developed, I thought was one of the strongest. And of course, we've also seen that Total Drama can really just not handle that well. Let's just not go into specific examples. But anyway, so there obviously are pandering to the shippers out there, and okay, fine. That's a hook that is very good for people getting on board with various characters. So I can't really fault the folks at behind the scenes for going down that road. And as long as they don't go too crazy with it, I think we'll be okay. It really is ultimately going to come down to, as it always does, how well these relationships are written and how well they flesh out the characters involved in them. And so while kind of going along with, Jasmine and Sean seem to be attracted to each other, and Dave and Sky seem to be attracted to each other, and Rodney is basically just begging to be voted off the island pretty soon. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that's really kind of all I have to say about the romantic relationships on the show. Topher is continuing on to be basically Sierra, and I'm not really digging this. I really like it much better when the contestants view Chris as an adversary. And but then again, Topher's obviously bucking for Chris's job, so I'm sure that's going to come up eventually. But still, given the relationship that Chris had with Sierra, I don't know. I don't think that's going to end terribly well for anybody, for Topher there. But yeah, I mean, don't forget, Chris literally basically voted Sierra off the show himself because she blew up his plane. So we'll see how far Topher can push things and how long it'll take for that to blow up in his face. And we can, of course, only hope that some of the stuff that happens in the season also blows up in Chris's face. Because I'm one of those people that I'm always extraordinarily happy when Chris gets what's coming to him. It's like Total Drama takes place in some weird version of Canada that's oddly similar to that old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Running Man. Yeah, again with the references to movies from the 80s. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. But anyway, going on with what everything else. The rivalry between Sugar and Ella, that's actually turning out to make Sugar more tolerable than I was actually expecting. And it really is kind of hard. I do like that it's not just her. It seems like most everybody on her team does not like Ella. And that, I think, does not bode well for her lasting terribly long on this show. Although the sugar princess act, well, if she were to snap and just go absolutely nuts, I think that would be worth seeing. But I think the real meat of the story this episode, as evidenced by the title, is the relationship between Amy and Sammy. No, I'm not going to call her Sammy. And here we basically see Sammy, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, and using her brains to get Amy taken out of the game and kind of basically just sucker her team. So it shows that while Sammy might not have the natural viciousness streak that Amy does, she's certainly got the predator cunning there with how to manipulate people to get what she wants. She's been a student of her sister her whole life, so she knows how to to trick people into doing what she wants. She's just never really had the motivation to try and go down that path. So we'll see how this goes. And I do find it odd that the essentially poisoned apple did not take out Ella, but it took out Amy. And let me see here. I'm just kind of running through everything. Yeah, we also got some nice little stuff with Max and Scarlet. Still not really grooving with Max, although him digging around with the various items of evil he had stashed around the island did lead to the cool moment where you see a bunch of that stuff that's in the hole, and one of them is nothing short of the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead movies, also from Army of Darkness, the number 3 in the Evil Dead trilogy. And I gotta tell you folks, Army of Darkness is one of those movies that I've literally lost count of how many times I've bought that DVD. It's like 3 or 4 times. It's like even tops Ghostbusters in the number of times I have bought DVDs of a single movie. And again, with references to movies from the 80s. But yeah, the shout out to Evil Dead / Army of Darkness, very, very cool there. I definitely did like that. Scarlet surprised me this episode. Her, figuring out how to turn that, basically seeing a more reasonable plan than what Max had, and her obvious annoyance and frustration with Max's antics. I think that sort of started to help flesh her out a little bit as a character. So, still not really feeling her too much, but she's definitely improved. I gotta say though, one thing I'm noticing is that the show really, I think you can always kind of tell who are the writers' favorites, and I think one of the clear ones this time around is definitely Sean. He's obviously one of the most intelligent people on the island. He's getting a lot of good scenes. He's getting a lot of good lines. He's got the hot Australian girl who likes him. So I don't know. I guess maybe he might end up being the Zoe of this season. Well, no, that's probably going to be Sky. But you kind of get what I'm saying. So let me think. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have so far. I'm just kind of wondering if we're not going to get to see any of the previous campers show up for a cameo or two. I mean, that's certainly what they did with when they introduced the last bunch of new contestants. And them doing that would not surprise me, but I think that's probably going to be at least another episode or two before they do that, simply so that we really gel with the new cast. And yep, I think that's all I've got for all I have for you guys this time around. Anyway, I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to keep live tweeting these episodes. I did so tonight, but it's a lot harder to make fun of offer up humorous commentary for shows that you like than it is for shows that just plain aren't very good. And Also, trying to live tweet and watch a show like Total Drama, where you really don't want to miss any of the visual gags. It's a very different beast than, say, when my live tweets of stuff like The 100 or Elementary. And oh wait, there was something else that I wanted to talk about. Excuse me a sec. My throat's really dry tonight for some reason. Anyway, it's something I noticed an example of in this episode, and it's something that I've noticed is sort of a writing technique that if you pay attention to various series, you'll see it pop up again and again. And it's kind of what I like to call the rule of three. And that's basically anything you don't want to harp on one idea for really more than 3 episodes. Now, I'm not now. Give me a little time to explain what this means. Like, for example, if a show has like a character get murdered, and the big arc of the story for that season is figuring out who killed whoever. Well, if that's the big arc of the season, obviously you don't want to do that in 3 episodes. You want to have, some escalation, some aspect of that get resolved in that, and then keep doing that over and over again till you catch the killer at the big season finale. And I see that here with what's going on with Amy and Sammy. But before I explain that, let me kind of give you an example. So let's say our big thing that we're dealing with is a character getting dumped by their significant other. So the first episode that in this particular storyline is, okay, the character gets dumped. Now, the next episode after that is you show the aftermath of all of that. They don't want to get out of bed, they're really depressed, they're drinking, they're doing something stupid. And then in the next episode, you have usually something happens that sort of spurs the character to some form of action. And whatever it is, by the end of the episode, this person has sort of accepted the new status quo. And even though this loss is still kind of probably going to be hanging over their head a little bit, it's not foremost in their thoughts. They've moved on with their lives as best they can. And in episodes after that, the fact that, oh, hey, you got dumped, well, that's going to pop up from time to time, but other things are also going to happen with this character. They're going to go and do other things. Now here with Amy and Sammy, we've got episode 1. We introduced the whole conflict between the sisters. And episode 2, we see, just more and more of how horrible Amy is to Sammy, and Sammy's growing resentment, and you start to see the first little hints that she's going to do something about this. And then today's episode 3, we see Sammy actually go out and do something about it, and she gets Amy kicked off the island. And this is a really good thing for writers to do, because it just basically prevents any idea or character situation from dragging on too awful long. Now, of course, depending on exactly what's going on, there is and should be some leeway with this, but just kind of think of the whole rule of 3 thing that I mentioned as just being kind of a rule of thumb. Something that's good for most situations, but every once in a while you're going to come across an exception, and it's up to you to figure out what's what and how to deal with it. But anyway, that's something that just kind of occurred to me while I was watching this episode, so I thought I would bring it up and submit it to you for your due consideration. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you this time. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at HoosierJedi. That's where I will be doing my live tweeting from. And whenever I finish these episodes, I tweet them out as soon as possible. So if you want to see my reviews as soon as they go up on YouTube, that is a great way to get them delivered to your computer or your favorite mobile device, whatever it might be. And so, folks, with that, take care and have a good one.